Anybody else need the link? So how do I find the perimeter of this semicircle if I know the radius is 15? What formula would I use? What's the formula for circle?
2 times pi.
2 times pi r, right? So 2 pi r for a circle. And so I know the radius. So I could do 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 15, right? So what do I get when I do that?
I got 47.
Because then you divided by 2, right? Yeah. So then we're going to divide by 2 because it's a semicircle, right? So we're doing the greenhouse. So that's 47.1. You're okay, Riley. We've just started in my floor plan for area and perimeter, and we're just looking at the greenhouse dining room first.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I understand. I had to do that yesterday. So this piece right here is that 47.1. Is that the whole perimeter, or am I missing a piece? What's this piece? The half a circle is the 47.1, but what's the flat part of that semicircle? How would we calculate that? Is that a radius or a diameter? It is. So if the radius is 15, what's the diameter? 30. So this is 15 and this is 15. So I've got to add 30 here. So that's 77.1 for my greenhouse. 77.1. Let's pick another shape. What other shape should we do? Should we just go to the living room and do the next one on the list? Okay. So let's do the living room. Perimeter of the living room is how many sides? 6. And I've told you that S equals 10. So 6 times 10 equals 60, right? So we've done the greenhouse, we've done the living room. I've got 77.1 and 60. So 70, 70, come on, 77.1 and 60. Let's go to that bedroom, that green bedroom. What's the perimeter here? If I know the base is 10 and 10, and the height is 20, how do I find that diagonal? Is there an easy way to do that? Or do I have to estimate? I would estimate too. It doesn't give us enough information to really calculate it. What do I have to know? Is it bigger or smaller than 20?
Which one?
The height is 20. So if the height is 20, what's this diagonal? What's that side? Is it bigger or smaller? Is that the hypotenuse?
I'm talking about the green.
I'm talking about the green. So what is this? Yep. So if I know the height is 20 and I know the base is 10, what's this diagonal that I have an X on?
Isn't it
Is it? So if I know the height is 20 and the base is 10, I want this diagonal. So I've got this, I'm going to draw it over here. I've got the height is 20, right? I've got a little green part up here that is something less than 10. So less than 10 because the whole side is 10. And I want to know what this diagonal is. I want to know this side. Is it going to be bigger or smaller than 20?
big?
Bigger, right? So if the height is 10, this diagonal is bigger than 20. What do we want to estimate that to be? We just need to pick a number. 22. Okay. So I'm going to erase some of this so it's easier to read. That's 22 and this is 10. So what's the perimeter of that? I want to hear more than just Mikhail and Daniel's voices too, ladies and gentlemen. We got to have more participation. So if I've got 10 and 22 and 10 and 22, what's the perimeter? These should be easy. You can put it in the chat. William, I like that it's bigger. Yeah, you would add all of them. So 10 plus 10 plus 22 plus 22 is? It would be 64. Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So let's go over to this restroom and closet that's off of that master bedroom. We're going to say that this is an isosceles triangle. So if one side is 22, what's the other side? Also 22? And if I tell you the base is 8, then what's the perimeter? How do I find the perimeter of that closet? 22 plus 22 is 44. And then 44 plus 8 is 52. Okay. So let's go to the next page. Because I was going to do 2 per page so that it doesn't get too cluttered. Maybe. So if I know this is 22 from before and it's isosceles, that means this is 22. We've got a height of 20, so the 22 makes sense. And then a base 2 of 30. What's the base 1? Where can I find that? We've already used it once. What's the top short side of that trapezoid?
10.
It is 10 because the sides of the living room are 10. So what numbers do I have to add up for the perimeter of that theater?
10, 30, 22, 22.
Absolutely. So what does that equal? Nice. So now we got to go to the gym. It says the base 2 is 40. So this is 40, and the height is 8. This is still 22, and it's got tick marks. So what's this side? 22, because that's isosceles. And then what's the top of my trapezoid, the B1?
10.
10, awesome, because that's still that regular hexagon. So when I add these up, 22 plus 10 plus 22 plus 40, what do I get? $94. Perfect. Perimeter, super easy, right? Hopefully this is how you guys did yours. So now if I go to the bedroom from the gym, what do I know about the bedroom? Mm-hmm. And what about the other two sides? Mm-hmm. So is the bottom. So what's the perimeter?
$64.
64. So bedroom number 2 is 64. What about this closet bathroom? Is it going to be bigger or smaller than the last one, do you think? Did I give you enough information? Let's make this an equilateral triangle. 66. How'd you get 66? Sweet. Our last two rooms. For perimeter, we need to do the office. So what do I know about the office? Mm-hmm. So the one that's adjacent to the closet is 22. What else do I know? The bottom is 10. The one that's adjacent to the living room is 10. How can I find the hypotenuse? Absolutely. So let's make that a right triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So when I substitute all of that in, I have a squared. Oh no, I've got the a squared, don't I? Caitlin's already telling me that it's 24 and 56. She's ahead of us. 10 squared plus 22 squared equals c squared. Do we agree with 24? It makes perfect sense. 10 squared plus 22 squared is 584. And then take the square root of 584. I like it. 24. We'll round that to the nearest whole number. So this kind of diagonal hypotenuse is 24, which means the whole thing is going to be 56. All right. So perimeter, distance around. Sometimes, depending on the shape, you need to do a little bit extra, like we had to do for the greenhouse and the office. What about the pool? So I know the short sides are 10. And the long sides are 30. So what's the, it's a 10, by the way. 30, 30, is it 100? Thanks, William. Perfect. Perimeter, really easy. Area is where it gets a little more tricky. So is everybody good with perimeter? Any questions on that? Did we go too fast? Do you have a chance to write in all the numbers? The office, the hypotenuse was 24 for sure. And then we've got to add the 24, the 22, and the 10. Yep. You're welcome. Any other questions? Any slides you want me to go back to? So I'm looking in the chat. Lots of good stuff in the chat. Anybody miss anything that we need to go back to? All right, let's go on to area then. So we'll do area in the same way. How do I find area of that semicircle? What formula do I have to use for area of the semicircle? Instead of 2 pi r, it's pi r squared. So pi r squared is going to give me the whole circle. So that's pi times 15 squared. Which is 706. And that's square feet. What do I have to do to that since I have a semicircle? Divide it by 2, absolutely. So when we divide it by 2, the area of my greenhouse dining room is 353.25. And that's square feet, right? So if I'm putting tiles in my dining room, right, and I have 1 foot by 1 foot square tiles, it's going to take 353 of them. Well, a little more than 353. So let's look at the hexagon. This is a regular hexagon. All the sides are 10, right? And then that A is 8. So what's the formula for that? Can somebody tell it to me? Do I need to go look at it? So the formula for a hexagon, do I want to use the one at the top or the one at the bottom? Okay, so 3 times the square root of 3 divided by 2 times the side squared. We can use both, yeah. So we get to choose which one we want to use. It might be easier. It looks easier because this has a radical and a fraction. That's just a little terrifying to me, to be honest. Well, not really, but you know, just saying. So if I come back over here, I can either use I need a pen. A equals the square root of 3 times 3 divided by 2 times the side squared, or I can do 1/2 the perimeter times A. So how do I find the perimeter if I want to use this bottom one that doesn't have radicals and stuff? What's that P represent? What's the P represent? Perimeter. So if P equals perimeter, we already found that, right? It was just 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10, or 60. And then the A is that distance from the center of the shape to the edge, right? And we said that was 8. So what's 1/2 60 times 8? Oh, I should have been able to do that in my head. Anybody do that? 240. Perfect. And that's also square feet. If I had 1 by 1 square tiles, it would take 240 of them to cover my living room. So my dining room is bigger than my living room. That's interesting. Everybody good? Ready to do bedrooms? Okay. What's my formula for area of a parallelogram? Area equals what? Is it 1/2 base times height, or is it just base times height? Just that base times height, right? So in this particular one, it is easier to do the area than it was to do the perimeter because I have the base and the height. So base times height, oh, it helps if I ask for a pen, equals base times height. So that's going to be 10 times 20. So what's the area of my bedroom? 200. And that's square feet. And we made this side 22, right? At the beginning. So how do I find the height of my closet? Good, this is 22, and this is 22, and this is 8. How do I find the height of my closet so I can find the area? Do you see any right triangles in there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The 22 is the hypotenuse. I feel like you're trying to say it. It's just not coming out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So what's the base down here of my right triangle? 4. So if I do a squared plus b squared equals c squared here, I'm looking for the b. I'm looking for that height. So 4 squared plus b squared equals 22 squared. When you solve that, you want to square them and then subtract. So b squared equals what?
I
22 squared minus 4 squared is 468. And then I got to take the square root. I think you're just a step ahead of me. 468. I got 21.6. So this height is 21.6. So now how do I find the area now that I have the height? Area of a triangle, is it base times height, or is that the one Mikhail was saying earlier is 1/2 base times height, right?
Yeah.
So for this closet, this is a tricky problem. We had to have the diagonal. We had to use the diagonal to find the height with Pythagorean theorem, and then we can substitute the base and the height. Sometimes finding that height is tricky. So 1/2 the base, which is 8, and the height, which is 21.6. 21.6. Yikes, that's getting hard to read. So what is 1/2 times 8 times 21.6? Did I do something crazy? Yes, I did. Divided by 2. 86.4. 86.4 square feet. Nice, Sammy. Okay. Some of these problems are a little extra. For sure. We ready to look at the theater and the gym? I don't want to rush anybody. Tell me to slow down if you need me to slow down. Okay. All right, so for my theater, what's the area? What shape is this again? What shape is that theater? Which equation? Which equation do I need to use? This guy right here. 1/2 the height times the average of the bases. So am I on slide 7? Nope. Slide 8? Nope. Slide 9. So I need 1/2 times the height times the bases added together. So what's my height? 20. And what are my two bases? 10 and 30. Absolutely. 10 and 30. So 10 plus 30 times 1/2 of 20 gives me how much? How many square feet is my theater? 400. Wonder how many nice plush leather recliners I could put in there. Probably a lot. I like it. Now the gym. What shape is the gym? Also a trapezoid. Yes. So I'm going to use that same equation. 1/2 the height. What was the height? What's the height for my trapezoid gym? 8 for sure. And then my two bases are what? 40 and 10. Perfect. So when I do that math, $200. So my gym is 1/2 the square feet of my theater. My gym is 1/2 the square feet of my theater. But how did the perimeters relate? Let's go back up and look at the perimeters for a second. The perimeters were almost exactly the same for my theater and my gym. But the area was about 1/2. Why is that? Why is the perimeter almost the same, but the area is 1/2? Okay, thoughts on that? It is 10 feet more. What else is different? How are the heights different? Are they different? Are the heights different? They are. One of them you're multiplying by 20 and the other one you're multiplying by 8. It's that multiplier that's going to make the bigger difference. Okay. One of the things you'll find, especially when we move into 3D shapes, is the more compact a shape is, the more efficient it's being used. So you'll have a smaller perimeter, but a larger area. When you've got something really big and stretched out, like my gym, you're going to have a whole lot of perimeter, but less area. So maybe in my gym, I want a whole lot of perimeter so that I can have yoga mats and I can have weightlifting stations and I can have that kind of thing. I don't really care about the area because I'm not going to have a whole bunch of people in it. Whereas my theater, I want a big one wall that's really big so I can have my giant screen, but I want a lot of area where I can put in chairs to be comfortable. Okay. Thanks, Faith. I'll see you later. So let's look at the last two things, the bedroom and the closet. What did we know about the bedroom again? It was. So how do I find the area of that? This one is the easiest one on the planet. Area equals base times height. I love rectangles. So 10 times 22 is 220 for sure. And then my restroom closet was 22 all the way around, right? So what kind of insanity do we have to do for that? Because it's an equilateral triangle. How do I find that height? How do I find the height? What do we do for the last closet? We did cut it in half. So we put 11 here. And then what do we do for that Pythagorean theorem? Mm-hmm. And then where do I substitute all my stuff in? What's the 11? The 11 could be the height for sure. So that's what we're looking for. And then what do I put in for B? The side, so the short side on the bottom, the half of the 22, and then the hypotenuse is always the longest side, right? So the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So then we're going to do 22 squared minus 11 squared. And then take the square root of that number, and what do we get? What's this height? Should be something less than 22 and bigger than 11. 19. And then area of a triangle, this poor triangle is making up for the rectangle, is 1/2 base times height. So I got 1/2. My base was 22 in my original triangle. And then my height, we found with the Pythagorean theorem, is 19. So what's 1/2 of 22 times 19? $209. And you'll notice if you go back to the other slide, this restroom and closet is equilateral. So it's fatter and kind of more regular than this restroom closet up here with the first bedroom. And it has a lot more area, right? Because it's not tall and skinny, it's more regular. It's kind of closer to a circle. A circle is the most efficient shape. Okay, let's go to the pool and the office and we will be done. So what do we want to do first, the office or the pool? The office. The office is going to be easier, so I like that. We know we've got 10 and we've got 22. We've already got a height because this was a right triangle, so no need to do Pythagorean theorem. A equals 1/2 the base times the height, and I've got my base and my height. So what's 1/2 of 10 times 22? 110. So my office is 110 square feet, right? Now for the pool. The pool is going to cause us a little bit of heartache. Just be forewarned. So with the regular hexagon, the area was difficult enough, right? We did 1/2 the perimeter times the A, right? P times A. We could find the perimeter, right? We found the perimeter. It was 100. But if I go from the center of my circle to the edge and the center of my circle to the edge, are those two A's the same? Or is one shorter and one longer? I think one's shorter than the other. This one is shorter than this one. So we can't use that. And then our other formula, see what that was 3 on the square root of 3 divided by 2 times the side squared. But my sides are 10 and 30, so they're not the same. So what should we do with this hexagon? Any ideas? I'm just looking for ideas. The S stands for the side length. So P stands for perimeter. Yeah, what do you think? Okay. So could we find like the average of the sides and use the average? I mean, I don't know. It would be around 20. So I like that idea. Let's use the 3 on the square root of 3 divided by 2, and we'll use the sides squared, but let's average the sides. So if I have 10 and 10 and 30 and 10 and 10 and 30, how would I find the average of all those sides? How do you find the average of something? So mean is exactly average. Yes. So how do you find mean? The first step is add them all up. So we added them all up and we got the perimeter equals 100. And then how do we find the average? Divide by the number of sides. So how many sides did we add up? 6. So 100 divided by 6 gives us 16.6, which Riley is so close to that 20 that you estimated, right? So then let's use that 3 on the square root of 3 divided by 2, and then we'll put in 16.6 squared. Now we've estimated, we found an average, but I think it's going to be a really good estimation. So we'll do 3 times the square root of 3 divided by 2 times 16.6 squared. And what do you get? Wow, that's a big number. We can round it to the nearest whole number because it's so close. 198. I think it's going to be bigger than that. So do 3 times the square root of 3 and hit enter. And you should get something close to 5.2. And then divide that by 2 and hit enter. And you should get something close to 2.6. and then multiply by 16 squared. So you want to make sure you square that 16.6. What'd you get? 715.9?
Yeah.
So 716 square feet. Awesome. What's the hardest thing to find when you're looking for area? If it's not given to you. What do we have the hardest thing to find in the triangles if it wasn't given to us? It was given in the bedroom and the theater, but not in the restroom. What's the blue line called? It is the height. Yeah. So sometimes in a triangle, in order to find height, you have to use Pythagorean theorem. Then what did the S stand for in the hexagon formula? Side. And what did the P stand for? Perimeter. Beautiful. Guys, happy Friday. That's all I have for you. Go outside, enjoy the sunshine, do something not in front of your computer today. Remember, all your missing work needs to be done by Monday. So that's why I'm letting you out early. So you can go work on that if you need to. See you later, everybody. Bye. That's it. Yep, you're all caught up. So as long as you kind of have all your stuff done from yesterday, because that's what I'm going to go do now, is look at your floor plans and make sure your charts are filled in. So I'd like you to find the perimeter for 7 of them and the area for 7 of them. Yeah, in your drawing.
That's what I asked, and I know I missed one.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.